Sounds of Her Love, a visual novel freely available over Steam. I'm playing this mostly blind. I did look a little bit into the first scene just to test volume, but I know very little about this, except that it does have some provocative content, earning it the rating 13 and up. So, without further ado, let us begin. Sounds of Her Love. Entering a character name, I do know that the main character is half English, half Japanese, so let's enter a name that an English person might name their child. Something's ringing. I want to stop. My hand limply reaches out toward the noise, but I can't seem to locate it. It must be around there somewhere. I sense something rigid at my fingertips. Suddenly I hear a loud crash beside me. The ringing stops. Forcing myself upright, an intense light greets my eyes. Beside me stands a hazy figure I can't make out. Do you mind not making so much noise in the morning? Your sister is still asleep. As my eyes adjust to the light, I see my mother standing beside me. I look downward and see my table lying on the floor, my alarm clock ticks next to it, broken into pieces. I'm not cleaning that up. Just get ready for school and come downstairs. I made breakfast. My mother walks off. I don't think she's particularly happy. Well, I doubt many parents would be with their children creating such a ruckus. Still, it wasn't my fault. I was half asleep, for crying out loud. I pry myself away from the bed sheets and pick up the table and the broken alarm clock off the floor. I check what the clock once read and conclude it's almost 7 a.m. Unfortunately, today is a Monday, so it's back to school with me. Although it's cliche, I'm not really looking forward to it. It's that I dislike it, but you'd think after transferring here things would have been a lot more lively. So far, nothing out of the ordinary has happened. No, I can't really expect life to be like that. This isn't a manga after all. It's a visual novel. Opening my drawers, I pull out my uniform. It's still good as you knew. I haven't had much time to wear it in. I've only been here a week. For an international school, the uniform is quite generic. I was expecting something more prestigious. I guess this is still Japan after all. Even though I've lived here all my life, my mother was dead set on sending me here. She's not a native, so she at least wanted me to connect with her side of the family. Despite her premise that getting in touch with my Anglican heritage was a good idea, the school isn't even English, it's Welsh. I'm pretty sure that's the country north of England. I don't think there's much difference anyway. By the way, the correct answer is that no, Wales is to the immediate west of England. Scotland is the country to the north. But he doesn't think that there's very much difference between countries on the island of Great Britain. Whatever. After finishing doing up my blazer, I hear a shout from downstairs. Son, your breakfast will go cold at this rate. You may as well let me have yours if you're going to waste it. Letting out a sigh, I close the door to my room and head to join my parents. Reaching the dining room, my mother and father greet me with warm smiles. Maybe not so much my mother. I still think she's pretty angry. My father gives an empty chair a haughty slap, still smiling all the while. Sit down, my son. We have a hefty breakfast your mother would approve of. Of course I would. I made it after all. In front of me sits a traditional English breakfast. Eggs, toast, beans, sausages, and the like. I don't think I can eat all of this. The empty chair is pulled out from beside me. Guess my sister finally woke up. When it comes to the mornings, she is not very talkative or noticeable, to say the least. I'm sure she'll fire up later, though. Yes, my beautiful family is gathered at last. My sister acknowledges my father with a quick glance and starts eating her breakfast in silence. Tell me, Paul, how were your studies? Was that hefty fee worth it? The school is private and teaches a foreign curriculum, so tuition fees are quite large. Luckily, my father can pay for it, and it's only for my final year. It's going okay. The initial buzz of it wore off after the third day. I guess it's like a normal school, not much different from the ones here in Japan. I did have an experience at a traditional Japanese high school, but due to our relocation to Tokyo, I had to transfer. If there's one noticeable comparison, it's the students. Most of them are natives, and a lot more are quite full of themselves. Even I'm only half Japanese. Really? That much for a normal school? What was the point of that fee then? You want our son to have the best education possible, right? Dad, and he's closer to my side of the family. Reasonable. Tell me this though, son. Have you been speaking to any girls at least? Are you really asking him that? Both my parents engage in a stare-off. Things like this happen all the time. For them, this is only a bit of banter. Checking the clock on the wall, I realize I'm a bit behind schedule. I give my family a farewell and head towards the door. Wait, that clock is... I hear my sister say something just as I leave, but she doesn't chase after me to tell me. It's strange to hear her at this time of day, but I guess I get right about it now. I can continue on a journey I'm only just getting used to. The street leading to the school is particularly empty. Only a couple of locals are walking by, and the number of students is quite low. Checking my watch, I realized that I had left considerably early. I guess the clock at home was a bit fast. A faint noise distracts me from my wrist. Ahead of me is a female student, presumably from my school, picking up the contents of her bag off the floor. I guess she dropped it. I consider helping her, but by the time I move my feet toward her, she has already finished and continues onwards to school. She rubs the back of her head and her braids sway softly in the wind. Just as I pass where she was standing, I notice a small card on the floor. Instinctively, I pick it up. In my hands is a library card with what I assume to be her name on it. Seridwen? Oh, they probably are going to get into the correct pronunciation. Considering this is a Welsh school, I guess that's the origin of her name. I look up and she is nowhere in sight. Oh, man. Quickly setting myself off, I run towards the entrance of the school. Just hope I can catch up to her. It doesn't take me long to get her in my sight. I call out to her. Seridwen, you dropped this. Seridwen turns around flustered, and I approach her with a ragged breath. Here, you go.
Thank you.
She gives me a shy response as I hand her back the card.
How did you know my name?
It doesn't look like she's very comfortable with talking to me. It's on the card.
Oh. It's pronounced Carrie, like a K.
That's what I thought. Sorry, my bad.
Don't worry.
Carrie still looks rather uneasy. I guess some people just aren't that fluent socializing with others. Well, it's a good thing you got it back. We're both pretty early, so it would have taken a while for someone else to find it. By then, they probably would have given it into Lost and Found.
Thank you.
She thanks me again, and her eyes are averted slightly away from my direction.
this card is important to me.
You'd be put in a safer place. You wouldn't risk losing it then. I know I don't have the right to tell her what to do with her stuff, but things like this are common sense.
I use it a lot. It's easier for me to reach it quickly.
I guess she's an avid book fan. She must be quite smart, or that or she just likes books. I decided to continue the conversation. Let's see, can I? Oh good, I can. What sorts of books are you interested in? Fiction or non-fiction?
I read a variety.
Well, that was a short answer.
I want to study literature.
Well, just be careful what clubs you join. Even if the people seem nice, you might end up getting deleted. She looks at me as she expects me to belittle her, to completely deny her expectations. Sounds great. It's good to have something you're passionate about. Her lips move. I guess she can't stop herself from smiling. Moving 90 feet again, I set out toward the entrance to the school, turning around to face Carrie before I make any sufficient progress. Still early. We should still go to class. It's a bit cold after all.
You're right. I need to check what class I'm in.
She doesn't know what class she's in? School started a week ago. Don't tell me she has amnesia. Carrie shyly passes me and heads toward the school, and I follow suit, heading toward my class. I guess she was a pretty interesting person. Well, also that sentence is 2 words too long. Classes are well underway, and the class is filled with a widespread sense of lethargy. It's a Monday after all, and lunch is just around the corner. Does anyone really want to learn about the structure of the inner mitochondrial membrane right before lunch? I lean back in my chair and stare down at my notes, which are just a little more than scribbles on a sparse page. That clock has no hands. Why does that clock lack hands? In the end, I can't really say I expected anything different when transferring here. After all, the basic principles of teaching are the same wherever you are. There's no reason as to why the school would be any different. Though the extra language lessons are a pain. Just as I let out a small but definitely noticeable yawn, the teacher glares sharply in my direction. Bored, are you, Paul? No, sir. Oh, that's a surprise. How about you answer the question at the bottom of page 3, then? I look at the closed book on my desk and realize what the teacher is referring to. I definitely haven't done a good job at pretending to work. Still, I oblige and turn to page 3. Moving my eyes towards the bottom of the page, I find a question that's somewhat relevant to what I managed to hear during the lesson. What is the space between the 2 mitochondrial membranes called? Is that the matrix? No, that's a bit inside. Well, boy, do you have an answer? I didn't study this. Let's see if I can guess it. Honestly, I don't know the answer. The safest bet would be to call it the mitochondrial gap. I mean, it's the gap between the 2 of them, right? Surely that must be it. Is it the mitochondrial gap, sir? I hear a few sneers from the more supercilious members of the class, but most of them seem to ignore my answer. I guess I was wrong then. How about you pay more attention in class next time then, Paul? The teacher goes back to the diagram he was drawing on the chalkboard before this fuss started. Though with technology nowadays, it seems pretty odd that this school is still using chalkboards. I leaned back in my chair again, this time remembering to do a better job of making myself look like a hard-working student, at least for this subject. Class quickly ends, and I quickly make it past the sudden rush to exit the room. The atmosphere in the corridor engulfs me as everyone makes a dash to the cafeteria. Chatter radiates from the swaths of people in the cafeteria. I weave my way through those standing around and those people walking in the opposite direction. The line is long, as always. Like most schools, the food here is actually quite good, so naturally it's in high demand. I join this queue of students left famished by the morning lessons. Time slows as the line slowly inches forward. All of this for a sandwich? I know, mate. They're lush, aren't they? Made with 100% Welsh beef. As they say, anyway. I find it hard to believe they import that stuff to Japan just for this one school. Eventually, I'm the one gazing at what's on offer at the counter. To be honest, that guy was right. The beef here sure is lush. It's quite a prestigious school. I buy the sandwich and stuff it in my bag. This place is quite packed, so I doubt I'd find a place to sit down. Just as I'm about to leave, I notice there's one table that's actually empty. Well, almost. I notice someone familiar eating by herself. It's the girl from earlier. Carrie, wasn't it? I wonder if I should approach her. I hardly know her, but I kind of want to sit down. It's cold outside. You know what? I may as well approach her. She's alone after all. I've been in that situation plenty of times this past week. I know how it feels. One step at a time, I make my way over to the table. Her silky braids gently rest by her sides, and unlike before, her braids only move due to her actions. As I draw closer, she takes notice of my presence and directs her head toward me. She hesitates to speak, but I planned on taking the initiative from the beginning. Hi, Carrie, it's me, from earlier. I don't think I ever got a chance to introduce myself. I try my best to avoid sounding nervous. Walking up to a girl sitting by herself is pretty noticeable to everyone else in the hall. My name is Paul.
Hello. Thanks for earlier.
She is still pretty on edge. Perhaps I should just apologize to her to make a quick retreat. I'm sorry for walking up to you so suddenly.
Don't worry. I don't normally have people to eat with, so I'm glad.
She abruptly stops speaking after giving me a sign of gratitude. Her cheeks turn a rosy shade of red, and she directs her eyes away from me. I guess she's embarrassed. Oh. It did strike me as odd as to why she's alone. Aside from her lack of self-confidence, she seems like a fairly nice person.
I had an illness.
She goes straight on to why she's so alone. I never asked her, but I'm glad she thinks of me as close enough to her to explain it to me, even though we've just met. Though, given that she seems so introverted, maybe I'm the only one person that is.
For a while, I was immobilized. As recently as last week.
So that explains why she didn't know that her class was. Is that why she told me earlier that she needed to find out what class she was in? Her face continues to grow to deeper shades of red. Maybe I should converse with her to ease her explanation. With her personality, I don't know if it'll actually help. I can understand, I guess. I'm new here, so I don't really have anyone to eat with. It's not really as relatable as an illness, though. I kind of regret opening my mouth. Hers, though, continues moving as her lips gently let out her unstable speech patterns.
I've been here since last year.
It's actually a pretty sad thought. She's been here this long, and she's this alone. Even with an illness, you'd expect her friends would still speak to her afterwards. I am making assumptions. For all I know, she could be a good friend with a classmate that just isn't in school or is absent. My gut feeling goes with my former conclusion in spite of that idea. She delicately twirls the hair at the tip of her braid nervously during the lag times of our conversation. I can't really think of anything to say, so I decide to do something instead. It's bold, but I tear a sheet of paper from one of my books and scribble my phone number on it. If you ever need anyone to keep you company, then you can call me anytime. Or if you see me around school, just say hi. I doubt she'll do either anyway. To downplay the forwardness of my actions, I think of the cheesiest quote I can and continue speaking. Birds of a feather flock together.
You're giving me your number?
Though her voice is quiet, I can still sense she is a bit shaken up. I thought giving it to her would be acceptable in this day and age. People are practically dependent on their phones now. Still, giving me your number to someone of the opposite sex will probably remain direct for years to come.
Thank you.
For some reason, she thanks me. Her pale fingers reach out toward her bag, and she gently takes out a rather pink and cute-looking phone. I didn't know anyone still used phone straps, but a daffodil charm swings in the air as she answers my number, her body shaking slightly all the while.
You're the first in the non-relative section.
Finishing her sentence with a smile, she gazes at me. I smile back, of course, which in itself takes a bit of courage. But her eyes quickly dart away to break our state of eye contact. She goes red again, and her mouth is slightly ajar, leaving her lips to glisten as the sunlight enters from the windows beside us. The chimes of the bell resonate throughout the room. I guess it's time to get prepared to go to class again. Carrie stands and shyly looks toward me as if expecting me to say something, which, luckily for her, I do. I enjoy speaking to her, even if she doesn't say very much. Like I said, feel free to contact me anytime. But right now, I guess we should head back to class.
Okay.
She trots along by my side, slightly behind me, probably to keep her blushing face hidden, I guess. She seems to have a habit of going red. We part ways when I reach my classroom, with her giving me a hardly audible farewell once we do. Well, I think this would be a good place to stop. I'm Nightworld, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.